Good morning, everybody. It is Thursday. I have today off of work, so we're going to head into St. Louis to basically we're going to go to St. Louis to help my Aunt Sue out with a technical issue that we can't just help her out with over the phone. She's been having computer problems, so we're going to go work on that. And then we're going to go enjoy dinner at Pasta House. We're doing this for two different reasons. One, to thank Mom for basically letting us have the house to ourselves while she went on a vacation for Jerry's birthday. She likes the Pasta House, and the closest one is either St. Louis or Jeff City. So either direction is about an hour and a half thereabouts. So that's going to be primarily our day, is just being out and about. It's been an interesting last couple days, between work and you guys' comments and just things that I've been exploring, so to speak. My last video got some interesting comments and whatnot, and I'm not gonna dig deep into those comments. I'm not even gonna rehash it because it's, as I said yesterday, we all have our own opinions, and the couple comments that kind of struck me was the whole ordeal where I ask for positive comments and basically tell you how I'm going to deal with comments that are basically too negative for my likings. And it's simple, and I said it in the video. It's simple. I'm trying to live a positive lifestyle, so I'm trying to keep the negative parts of life that I can control out of my life. Now, I can't control what you guys write down, what comments you put in. I can control if they stay in my comment section or not. I have noticed a trend, and the same trend was happening to Joanne's channel for a while until I basically got her to understand that, just get rid of the instigator, basically. And that trend is, and it's not just me, it's not just Joanne. I've noticed it on some other people's vlogs, and they've talked about it. And what it is there seems to be a group of people, whether they know each other or not, seem to go around to various channels or various people's vlogs and try to downsize their channel by being negative to whatever the person is talking about. And I discovered via analysis and whatnot, that it's always a group of people within the 12 to 15 number category. So I use my knowledge and my skills and whatnot to analyze the group of negative mongers, as I'm going to call them, and find a way to stop them. Excuse me. Now, I didn't just jump on here to talk about them. I actually jumped on here to talk about other stuff. And that other stuff would be the way I do things, the way I do my channel. Now, I notice some of the comments were talking about how without my teeth I have speech issues. I think with my teeth I have more issues with slurring and whatnot than I do without them. So I'm going to do an experimentation, and I'm not going to tell you when or how long or whatever that I have my teeth in. Now, I'm not one to do a lot of editing or whatnot because I've had people tell me, oh, you should edit out those segments where you pause because you're gathering your thoughts, or um, edit out those segments where you're yawning because you're trying to catch your breath. I don't yawn just because I'm sleepy. I yawn because sometimes I carry on a conversation for an extended period of time, which causes me to lose my breath. Um, Now, one of the things I talked about yesterday was how that the heart, lungs, and mind are the three most important parts of the human anatomy. Well, for me, my lungs, because I have issues with breathing during allergy season, because I get seasonal bronchitis with the allergies, which my seasonal bronchitis is not always coughing or sneezing, it's shortness of breath, um, wheezing within the lungs, things like that, that are not always evident because I'm not coughing like I've got bronchial issues, things like that. Now, one of the things I do have, and I had it pretty bad yesterday, was my sinuses were acting up because of the allergens in the air. It had rained the other day, and it seems like every time it rains, like towards the latter half of the day, if it rained in the morning time, the allergens are higher than normal because everything is reintroducing itself into the atmosphere. Um, that's when my sinuses start to act up the most. So yeah, I have those issues where I stop to yawn because I'm trying to catch my breath. And yawning is the body's natural reaction to low oxygenation within the bloodstream through the lungs. So that's why a lot of people yawn. That's why sometimes when you first wake up, you're yawning because you're trying to catch your breath in the morning time. Now, one of the other issues I noticed was um from my video last night. There is one particular person, and I don't normally talk about these people, and I'm not gonna tell you who the person is. You can probably figure it out on your own. I talked about my spirituality, and I talked about how things are connected. And even though a lot of mainstream Christian people have narrow-mindedness, is what I call it, because of the fact that they think that the Bible is the be-all, end-all of things. No. You've got to realize for thousands of years before Christ even walked on the earth, there was various groups that had their own pre-existing spirituality. Now, Christianity, out of all the religions that are on the face of the planet, and I'm not, well, not all of them, but the better part of them, Christianity is a fairly new religion. Now, I'm not knocking Christianity because I was born and raised a Christian, and I do still have connections to those roots. But I'm open minded enough to realize that there is so much that is missing out of the Bible. Now, I'm going to speak strictly on this situation because the English Bible, the English translation of all the accumulated texts from the actual original writings from Paul and Matthew and Luke and John and Peter and all the various authors who penned the words that got translated for us English speaking people, the original text had been chopped up. Now, what I mean by that is when the, and I'm not even going to say the Holy Roman Church or the Romans or whomever. it happened throughout various stages of translation, where because of the original text, which is written in three different languages, one of them is a dead language, which is Aramaic. Then there was Greek, and then there was Latin. And, well, no, not Greek, Latin and Hebrew. Now you got to realize translating a dead language is very, very difficult because you don't have no reference to what the meanings are. But translating Hebrew into English is very difficult because the old school Hebrew from the days of the Bible, there were no was it proper nouns or proper vowels? But anyhow, translating from a language that has certain aspects of the English language not part of their language is difficult. That in a factor is believed by many, many, many different scholars that there is a lot of information that they're now rediscovering since they found the Dead Sea Scrolls that were never mentioned in the Bible. One of which, and they're kind of loosely believing in it because of the factor of the translation factor. The original text talks about laying on hands. There's no real talk about anybody but Jesus doing such a thing. There was very loosely mentioned in the Bible, let alone the original text, about alien visitation. What was that third thing? I can't remember. There was a third thing that was always catching my eye when I was reading it. But there's like bits and pieces out of the original translation that are missing. Now, somebody, and I can't remember who, I have to double check it online because it's been a while since I've looked at it. They showed a representation of how thick the Bible would be if they had all the original information, including missing books out of the Bible and missing chapters and verses out of the Bible. They basically took like three King James Version Bibles and stacked them on top of each other and said, this is how thick our Bible would be today if we had all the information from the original texts. And I went, holy Christmas. This is why the English authors decided to remove certain information or keep out certain information or delete, whatever, how you want to put it, information that they thought at the time would be not a good thing to put in the Bible because it would cause various forms of unrest within the church. Now, not knocking King James as the Bible, but King James, the person, I have a feeling the reason why he probably told his translators or his scribes or whomever was writing up the King James Version of the Bible at the time, probably told them to remove this information because he wanted to keep his people under his control. That's just speculation right there. Now, for those of you who don't believe in nature, don't believe in a connection to the world around us, I'm not a globalist. I'm not a naturist. I'm not one of those types of people. I am an open-minded person who realizes that we're all connected. We're all connected to the earth, no matter what you say, no matter what you think. That information was probably originally in the Bible, but was removed. But if you read the Bible just right, if you read the New Testament, especially the New Testament, it talks about how we're connected to the earth. In fact, Genesis alone talks about how God, who created the earth, took dirt and materials from the earth that he created to create Adam. And it even says in the Bible that we return to the dust that we were made out of. This not the shirt. I'm sorry. This body. It's a vessel. It's a jar of clay. In fact, um, well, there was a Christian group called Jars of Clay, but there was a song that they did that literally talked about how we are just we're jars of clay, and once we die and our soul leaves this vessel returns to earth it once was made out of. So right there alone is like you can't see the connection, how we're connected to this planet, that everything we do to this planet affects us, even if it doesn't affect us directly, it still affects us indirectly. So all the people who want to sit there and go, oh, we can do anything and everything we want, and the earth is self sustaining. No, it's not. It's it needs everything that is on it or in it to sustain itself, and we are part of that. And this pandemic, like I said, this pandemic is just a way of the earth removing the diseased parts. And we are the diseased parts because we are no longer living in balance. Everybody from the dawning of time to pre industrial revolution lived in harmony and balance with the world, with the planet. We had our farmers doing the fields. We had our hunters gathering up wildlife and meat and leather and whatnot. We've overpopulated. We human beings have overpopulated the planet to the point where the planet has to do something to correct itself, to correct the balance that we are supposed to live in. Now, if you're too, excuse the expressions, if you're too blinded by your religious upbringing that you can't see beyond what the church is dictating to you. I went to college. I went to Ozark Christian College. You can look this up. You can look up the college. I went there for a year. And I had a professor. His name was Gary Zustiak. And he was my OT professor, Old Testament professor. And one of the things that he used to teach, and he did it in his class, and it matched the curriculum he was supposed to teach. But he pointed out throughout his course the connections between one nation and another and the world around them, and how they were all connected in one way or another. I mean, up until, and you can look this up in the Bible, up until the Tower of Babel, we all spoke the same language. There were no cultural differences. There was no language differences. There was, we all worked as one united group of people. Okay. It wasn't until, and forgive me for not knowing names or whatnot, but it wasn't until one of the rulers or the ruler of the time said that he wanted to build a tower high enough to reach the heavens. And then what happened? It got knocked down by God, and everybody started speaking different languages, and they had to find each other and go off in different directions to have their own cultural differences. All right. Now, I know a lot of mainstream Christians nowadays follow the New Testament, and the New Testament is the be all and end all, and that the OT, the Old Testament, is just history. Well, anybody and everybody who's studied history knows one particular factor. You have to know your history so you don't make the same mistakes. If you're not learning from your history, whether it's the Bible history, personal history, ancestral history, world history, national history, it doesn't matter what the history is. But if you don't know enough of your history to move forward and not trip over history, part of a Christian's history is the Old Testament and understanding the Old Testament. I spend I spend a good 40 minutes before going to bed reading the Bible and studying the Bible and cross referencing New Testament with Old Testament. And I have a book that I use from time to time when I'm trying to do that. Let me get this closer so you guys can see this. This is a complete hit. This is a complete Bible commentary. I can go through this and match information from New to Old Testament. I can match information that I'm trying to look up or understand. It is like probably the second thickest book I have in my arsenal. I don't sit here and claim to be a professor of anything. I don't claim to be I don't have any doctorates. I don't have any hardcore degrees or anything like that. But believe me when I say that I'm not trying to convince or convert or anything to get my point across. What I'm trying to say though is don't try to slap a label on me. That's the first thing. Do not try to slap a label on me. I have no label. I am who I am. I have a lot of different interests, a lot of different perspectives, not perspectives, a lot of different viewpoints. In my home, in this house right now, there are 4 people here. 3 of us live here. The other one's just visiting and helping me with, or not helping me, helping Jerry with whatever. We all had religious backgrounds, religious upbringings. I was brought up Christian. My mom was brought up Pentecostal. My wife was brought up Catholic. Her best friend who's visiting was brought up Baptist. We all have our different points of views, our own different views on spirituality and whatnot. None of us slap labels on each other. None of us are trying to convince that one's religion or one's viewpoints are better than the other. We may have our differences. We may agree to disagree. We may, have long-winded conversations about it. The point is, don't be stuck in the narrow-minded rut of your upbringing. Be open enough to explore, enough to understand things. You might not have to agree with a lot of the things. There's a lot of things I've studied I don't agree with. But the point is, don't belittle the next person just because they don't follow don't follow the same thing you do. I mean, I could, at one point in time, before Hurricane Sandy, when I was living in New York, I could have pulled out 6 different books, 6 different spiritual books that had no commonality, at least in writing. I could have pulled out a Native American shaman book. I could have pulled out I could have pulled out a King James Bible. I could have pulled out a book on Torrid. I could have, Tarot. Excuse me, not Torrid. That's something else. Tarot. I could have pulled out a book on, no, maybe it was only 4, not 6. Because the 4th one was a book that I had bought that talked about Druidism, or not Druidism, excuse me, runestones. Each of those books had no common ground, but because I was open enough to study them and look at each one of them and see certain connections. Now, like I said before, We don't have all the original texts in our Bible. A lot of stuff is getting discovered and rediscovered. The findings of the Dead Sea Scrolls and their final translations have for the most part, for those who've basically read them or tried to read them or gotten a hold of the information that they were getting a hold of, kind of rocked and shook and shocked a lot of theologians. But how do you argue with century-old manuscripts? You can't. You can sit there and deny them. People want to deny a lot of old school stuff because factor it doesn't fit into their upbringing or the teachings that they have or had or any of that. Well, that's fine. That's your choice. My choice is be open enough to say, okay, I can see how that would work, or I can see how that was. The question is, how does it pertain to my life? That's why I feel that a lot of people who don't want to be open enough to at least give it a look-see are basically going to be blinded for life, blinded by the full spectrum of truth. If that causes a lot of problems with some people, I'm sorry, but this is my views. I'm not trying to convince you of anything. I'm not trying to convert you to anything. I'm just saying, be open. Open-mindedness gets you a lot of knowledge. Yeah, it can get you into some troubles and whatnot, but you know what? That's part of life. Anyhow, today is going to be an interesting day. This may or may not be my first vlog or only vlog for the day. See what happens when I get home. So until next time, let's just leave it at that. We'll see what I talk about next. For those of you who enjoyed this, or any of you basically who enjoyed it, go ahead and give it a thumbs up if you did. Questions and comments are, expected, appreciated. Now, as for the comments, like I said, I'll read them and I'll decide what to do with them. For the most part, I've been leaving them. If you're not a subscriber and you want to, you can hit the subscribe button and a bell will pop up and you can click on that bell and YouTube will let you know when I put in a new video. Until next time, God bless, good day, have a good one, bye.